Hello, folks. Dustin Zarni here, commissioner in the car. Today is Tuesday, and it's April. I believe, yes. Sorry, the dates are going by. It's April 11th, and it is the day after designating petitions were due at the Onondaga County Board of Elections, and because of that, we know what the polling. What the primary races are for the June primary. At least we know that as of now, because objections will certainly start, and they've already started to come in, the general objections. Anyways, we haven't received any specifics. But the general objections are going to come in, and then the specific objections will come in the next week. And we will know by next Monday, or the next time we come out and commission a car, where objections are coming in, if any objections come in on any of these primary races, and then we'll really know what the primaries are for Onondaga County. I will say though that 99% of the time, races that file petitions are accepted and are not knocked off the ballot. It's much harder to knock somebody off the ballot now. And we'll go over that next week when we talk about the objection process and how that's working at Onondaga County this year, because we just don't know what the objections are. But let's talk about the primaries that are going to be on the June ballot. We'll start with the Democrats. Democrats have filed primary races for city auditor. Nader Maroon and Alexander Marion have filed for primary races there. And the city councilor at large, there are 4 people vying for 2 spots. Rita Paniagua and Chol Majak are the endorsed candidates by the Democrats, and the challengers are Jennifer Schultz and Raquan Pride Green. And then for Commissioner of Education, you got 5 people going for 4 spots. You have the endorsed candidates, Tamika Barnett, Renette Railford, Gren Wayford. They're very similar. Renette Railford, Gren Rayford, very similar names there. And Maria Habib are the 4 endorsed Democrats, and Michael Root is the 5th challenger who has filed to make a primary. There's also primaries in Common Council District 1, which is Marty Nave and Sean Reed, and Common Council District 4, where there are 3 candidates running for a primary, and that is Patrona Jones, Bruce Connor, and Haas Bloodworth. Those are the 3 that are running for OCL4. And then the last primary that the Democrats have going on is for Onondaga County Legislature District 15 between Tim Rudd and Mo Brown. Those are the primaries for the Democrats for this fall's election. The Republicans actually have some primaries as well, and I'm not going to remember all of the names, but I'm going to talk about the races because and again, some of these might be challenged, some of these might not, but the most high-profile Republican primary is for Salina Town Supervisor between the current supervisor and a challenger, and I'm blanking on the names, and I'm sorry. I'm not as familiar with the Republican names as I am the Democrats, where I've looked over those petitions over the last few weeks. But and then there will also be a Republican primary in the town of Geddes. That's right, Nick Paro, not Piro. David Harding, he's put it in the chat. It's Nick Pardo and Shirley Penzotto is the supervisor race in Salina. And then there are a primary for Geddes Town Councilor. There are 4 candidates for 3 slots for the Republican primary there, or is it 3? It's 3 candidates for 2 slots. I'm not really sure. And then there's also going to be a Pompey Town Board race and a Pompey supervisor race, where there are Republican primaries. And there is a Conservative Party primary for DA, and that is countywide. A Shirley Vargas and Chuck Keller, a Democrat, Shirley Vargas, a Conservative Party member, are vying for the conservative line for DA. And also there are judicial delegate primaries out in the 127th Assembly District. The multiple slates of judicial delegates have been filed. Now, many things can change all of this in the next couple of weeks. First thing is declinations. Declinations are due on Friday. If there are declinations where some candidates decide that they don't want to run, that could remove a primary. The next thing, of course, is the objections. General objections are based on when petitions were turned in. Many of those objection periods have already passed, but there still are some. For the people that turned in petitions last Friday and this Monday, which were the extender dates, the general objection dates were Monday and Thursday. So once we get by Thursday, we'll know about where the general objections are, at least races that we know might turn into specific objections. Now, again, a general objection does not necessarily mean that they're going to actually challenge the petition. It just buys them another 6 days. So often we get a lot of general objections and less specific objections. So specific objections will start to come due next week, maybe later this week, depending on when the general objections were filed. And we will, obviously announce that on our Facebook and Twitter pages for Onondaga County Board of Elections if we hold hearings and make a ruling on those objections that will remove somebody from the ballot. And of course, then there is court. So yes, the objection period is happening right now, but sometimes people will have to go to court. And if they want to go to court, they have to file that 14 days from yesterday. So April 24th. So really, things are not final until we hit April 25th. So yeah, that is what's going on with the primary. So I'm, and now we could kind of take a look at the general election as well. And I will tell you, there seems to be less competition this year than there has been in previous years. There just aren't people deciding to run for office on both sides, especially on the county ledge, where the gerrymandered maps have made competition less desirable, because there's not as much competition on those. So, and you see that with Republicans not running in the city and Democrats not running in the rural parts of Onondaga County or the exurbs as well. So, but there is still a chance for candidates to run on that with the independent nominating petition starting next week. And also, if it's a town race, we still have town caucuses running over the next few weeks. So we're not going to talk about the general election for a little bit. I probably will wait till after the primary to kind of talk about the general election, because then we will get a real idea of what's going on. Although, as you know, I'm doing a lot of Zoom with Zarnies with candidates now, which are candidates that will appear in the general election. So hang on your hat. We'll see what happens there. So that's pretty much what's going on with the County Board of Elections. As you know, the budget is still held up in the state legislature. It's not been approved. David put a question in the chat. My friend David, he's not my only friend, but he is one of the people who comments in the chats a lot. Are you concerned about funding for elections in this late budget? I'm always concerned about funding for elections, but I don't know about whether the budget is being late or early is going to change whether there's funding in there. It seems to me that it's non-monetary issues that is holding up the budget, mainly bail. The changes to bail reform seems to be the thing that the governor is using the budget as a way to get a program reform through that she wants. Will that mean that money for election boards are cut out? I don't think they're tied. I think either it's going to be in or it's not. The only thing is that right now is we're waiting. We're waiting to see whether it's going to be in or not. And I'm still very happy with that both houses, the Assembly and the Senate, put money in. Obviously, the Senate put in more than the Assembly, and I'm hoping to see, maybe something in the middle there. But the governor didn't put any in for county boards and elections except for the reimbursement of postage for the absentees, which is also important. It's significant. It's $4 million. So I hope that money will be in there. And, this week are the filing periods for opportunity to ballot petitions. There was a ruling on Friday in Erie County that struck down a law that kept somebody from winning the primary if they're not an enrolled member in that party. If a write-in candidate happened. So what used to happen was opportunity ballot petitions were filed if, like, a Democrat wanted the conservative line, but the conservatives gave it to the Republican. And because the Democrat can't pass petitions on the conservative line to force a primary, they used to do what's called an opportunity ballot, which would force a write-in primary for that office, and then they would try to get their people to write in as many names as possible. We have seen write-in primaries work at a various degree over the last few years. So it is something that is it's something that was rare, but it did happen. But a couple years ago, the legislature made a rule that said that you had to win the primary, you had to be a member of the party or authorized by the party. New York is what's known as a closed primary state. That means that we don't allow people who are not enrolled in the party to run in the party unless they have prior permission from the county chairs, and that extended to the write-in races. Now, this judge ruled that was a violation of the First Amendment to not allow people to write in candidates that were not part of the party. So that remains to be seen whether that is going to be upheld. I believe the Attorney General is going to appeal it, which will put that ruling as an automatic stay. We will see what the Court of Appeals does with that, and I don't know if they'll get to it before this June primary. And since the filing dates for opportunity ballots are in a couple of days, I'm not sure that's going to affect this year's elections. That being said, there is a danger here that this ruling could open up open primaries for all races. And I've been very clear about this in my history. I don't believe that's a good thing. I think Democrats should be able to run Democrats, Republicans should be able to run Republicans, and they should only allow people from within those parties to vote. Now, it's very, very clear that this ruling didn't actually change the aspect of only people inside the party can vote in these races, but maybe there might be an opportunity to allow for people to run in these races and pass petitions in these races, or at least do opportunity ballots if they're not a member of the party. So that court ruling is going to be appealed. It's going to have an automatic stay. I don't believe that will make its way through before the June primary, but we will see. It wouldn't change the actual functions at the boards right now, because the functions at the boards are, if an opportunity ballot petition comes in, we do set it up for a write-in primary, and only after the write-ins happen do we disqualify anybody who might win who's not a member of that party. So, there's no real functionality issue with the county boards of elections, but and I don't think many people even know about that case. But it did happen on Friday, and So, stay tuned, as always, with these things here. So, speaking of staying tuned, let me tell you what I got going on this week. What I got going on this week? Well, we are on Thursday. I'll be doing a Zoom with Zarni with Bill Kinney, who's running for Onondaga County Executive, and then this weekend, the weekly wonk, I will be doing the town of Cicero. Last weekend I did the town of Camillus, and we're getting into the Democratic caucus towns now. We've already done the petition towns, about 5 towns. We got 14 more towns to go, in which I plan on doing all of them, doing the Democratic caucus towns. And then after I get done with that on my weekly wonk, I'll be looking at the races where there are competition on the Onondaga County Ledge and doing those, as well as the city of Syracuse, as well. So there's a lot of things that are up in the air, and that I may switch around, getting ready for the primaries and other things. I also plan to spend a few weeks talking about polling places on my weekly wonk. So I might break up some of these towns to talk about that, because there's been a lot of polling place changes, and I want to show you the data behind why we did that. So I'll be doing that over right before the primary for the city of Syracuse, and then sometime over the summer for the towns as well. Unless, of course, there are towns that might have primaries, so I might do those before the primary as well in May and June. So that being said, I think that you should make sure you go to dustinzarni.com to subscribe, and hopefully you'll get your content free. I never charge. I'll never take ad revenue. It's a product of my voter outreach. Speaking of my voter outreach, I'm starting on a new project, the Faces of Democracy. This is a brand new thing that I've joined. It's a nationwide group of election administrators with issue 1, and we are now working together to try to lobby for federal funding of elections, as well as federal protections for election workers. I've just started in this group. I've participated in a couple of calls now. These are incredible people. I can't wait to continue to work with them, and I hope that this will be an extension of what I do on the statewide level, where I can start asking for money from the federal government. And in fact, I plan on participating in an early June fly-in meetings with government officials, as well as lawmakers in June in DC. So I'm hoping to be a part of that. But that being said, as I get into that more, I'll definitely let you know. And as we're waiting for the budget to get done, once the budget is done, I'll continue to push for legislative changes at the New York State Legislature to promote the Democratic caucus and NYSECA, New York State Elections Commissioner Association, priorities, to try to get those done before the end of session, also in June. So lots of stuff to keep me busy over the next 6 weeks, and stay tuned. I'll tell you all about it. Next week's Commissioner in the Car will be dedicated to the objection process and where we stand on objections to get ready for the June primary, and of course the general election as well. So that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in to Commissioner in the Car. I hope you enjoy your week, and it's looks like spring might be here, so hopefully we'll be able to be out there and frolic in the sun and enjoy all of the many things that Central New York gives to us in the spring and the summer and the fall. Bye-bye.